He's been the Phillie Phanatic's best friend since, I think, 1994. It is Tom Burgoyne. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Hey, Chet, how you doing? Happy to be here.
Doing great, man. Well, we're going to do lots of discussion about your big green friend in a little bit, but let's talk a little Phillies baseball first of all. As we speak, they are 58-49, just one game worse than they were exactly a year ago, through 107 games, but in a wild card spot for the moment. As they hit the 2/3 mark of the season tonight, what do we know about this Phillies team?
Well, they haven't hit their potential yet, I think. I think we're waiting for, even the guys who are stars, the 4 or 5 guys, Schwarber and Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, guys like that to kind of start, stepping up. And I think I think they didn't tear up the team at the trade deadline. Not that they were going to trade or, do that. I think they added a couple great pieces. It's just, boy, the more I talk to people in the media and people who are around this team, they keep saying it's one of the best clubhouses they've ever been around. It's a veteran group. Rob Thompson, I think, gives you a great presence there. And we saw what happened last year. So I think Philly fans are just really kind of waiting for the same exact thing to happen this year, which happened last year, except, of course, win the World Series rather than come a little bit short.
Yeah, we're also waiting for the real Trey Turner to show up. He doesn't look a whole lot like the guy that we watched for so many years with the Nationals and Dodgers. What's going on with Trey, and is he going to turn it around eventually?
Yeah, it's funny, Chet. Every time he steps up to the plate, every time, I think, okay, this is the at-bat he's going to turn it around because he's that good of a player. It just really makes me think of how hard this sport is. If you ever open up your baseball encyclopedia and flip through, all the great players who've ever played the game, they all have their years where things didn't go right. And right now, that's the kind of year Turner's having. But I'd rather have him out there playing short than anybody else in the league right now.
Did you ever think, Tom, that when you were back at St. Joe's Prep or at Drexel that you would one day be firmly entrenched in the sports mascot world and, this tight with the Phanatic?
No. Although I will say this, I was our high school mascot at St. Joe's Prep here in Philadelphia. I was the Hawk, not the guy who had to flap his wings all the time, but really patterned my act, on the Phanatic, and I will say I got interviewed for the school newspaper when I was a senior in high school, and they asked you, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to be when you grow up? And I said, well, I'm going to be the Phillie Phanatic, of course, So I said it tongue in cheek, but I had no idea that, it'd be a career for me for over 35 years.
Our pal David Raymond was the original best friend of the Phanatic from his birth in 1978, the Phanatic's birth, to 1993. So how did you, come to work with Dave and eventually take over as the Phanatic's best friend?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I went to Drexel University. I got a degree in marketing, and I took a job in sales. I was selling business forms and computer supplies, and it's tough out there in the sales world. And I did that for about 6 months. When I started to look in the newspaper, I'm dating myself. I looked in the newspaper at the one ads. They're not around anymore. But I saw an ad that said mascots wanted, and I answered the ad. It didn't say anything about the Phillies or the Phanatic, and I answered the ad, and sure enough, I got a call from the Phillies saying they're looking for a backup performer for Dave Raymond, somebody who could go out and do a lot of the outside appearances. And I answered the ad. I couldn't believe it, Chet. I mean, I was such a Philly sports fan growing up. It was really a dream come true. So I went down, I auditioned, I interviewed, and they wound up selecting me, and just couldn't believe it. So I didn't have to sell computer ribbons anymore, and started this crazy job. I did that for 5 years. I was Dave's backup. I was handling a lot of the outside appearances. I worked up in our Fanavision control room, playing music and working on skits with Dave. So after 5 years, as you mentioned, he left after the Phillies went to the World Series in 1993 to start his own company, his own business. And I took over all the game day duties, in 1994. And it's been a great ride.
Well, as his best friend, you'll probably have this answer. What is it that makes the Phillie Phanatic the very best mascot in sports?
I sometimes think it's three factors. I think one, you have to have the right person, I think, as the best friend. I think that person has to be a fan, live and die with the home team, be enthusiastic, want to have fun. So I think that's a big part of it. The second part really is the costume itself. Actually, the Phanatic costume is just funny looking. I think when you look at it, you just kind of laugh anyway. And actually, it's built in a way that helps you move a little bit. The Phanatic's able to move his head around. I always think of poor Mr. Met with a big baseball head on, trying to move. And when he moves, he kind of has to move his whole body. It doesn't look natural. But with the Phanatic, it's built in such a way where the Phanatic can really kind of give it life and make it look natural. And then really, I think the third key has been the ball club, the Phillies. They've just always kind of treated the Phanatic and the Phanatic program, our mascot program here, just really well. At any time the Phanatic wants a new toy, like a hot dog launcher or that four-wheeler he's out on the field, or a van to take him to appearances, they've been there to support it that way. They've given me the you want to call it artistic license to go out and have fun without really interfering. They just put the trust in me. Like, I'm not going to embarrass them. I'm not going to screw up too bad, hopefully. And there are breaks in the game where the Phanatic is highlighted, twice a game, in the fifth inning and the seventh inning. It's been that way for 45 years. And that type of consistency, I think, too, is kind of, and really, Chet, the telltale sign is, the Phanatic will be at a game and he's on the concourse and he gets mobbed. It's like Elvis entering the building. It's like he's a rock star. And I see, dads, lugging their kids over to see the Phanatic, and I hear them say, "Hey, we got to go see the Phanatic. I used to do this when I was a kid." So that longevity, that consistency, the fact really that it's been Dave and I for 45 years is, I think, is really kind of helped the whole thing.
Well, I've encountered the Phanatic on numerous occasions over the years. Always a good time. But, Tom, I sometimes wonder if John Kruk is a fan of the Phanatic or not. Watch this.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. You did say you wanted popcorn before, didn't you? What are you doing?
He's drunk. He's got to be drunk. Look at it. Just destroying our food.
What are you doing? Oh, my goodness.
Why do people like you?
I love watching that.
That is hilarious. And it's so funny because Kruk, after that game, right? I think it was that appearance, and a couple times the Phanatic comes in. His shtick, the Phanatic has shtick, Krucky has shtick, and his shtick is just, this Phanatic is annoying me. But he was blown away because after that appearance or one of the other appearances, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, people were saying, "Oh, John Kruk hates the Phanatic." He's like, "They think I hate you." He's like, "I don't hate you." I'm like, "I know, but it's funny. You just keep doing what you're doing because it's funny."
Hey, you know who else is a fan? You know this, Bryce Harper. And from what I understand, he was actually a fan even before he was signed by the Phillies. Tell me about the relationship with Bryce.
Yeah, it's just been the greatest thing ever. The Phanatic every year goes to the All-Star game, and the Phanatic has seen Harper in the other dugout kind of pointing to the Phanatic and telling all the other All-Stars, National League All-Stars. This is when he was with the Nationals. The Phanatic's, he's the best, and he would just rave. And so when he got sent here, I'll never forget it. Was we had a press conference for him in Clearwater. We did it right on top of the home team dugout in Clearwater. And there was a little holding area. We used the visiting locker room, as a matter of fact, this little holding area where we had Kruk and his family, his agent, and some friends. Well, the Phanatic comes busting into this room because we're getting ready to unveil Bryce. And the Phanatic, first of all, he pushes Bryce out of the way to give a big kiss to his wife. Bryce stumbled over a stool, and I'm glad he didn't break his foot before the press conference. But anyway, his dad, Mr. Harper, is in the clubhouse, and he said, "Hey, Bryce, show the Phanatic your bat." I say, "What?" And he goes, "Phanatic, come on over here." And he takes out his cell phone, and he shows the Phanatic this beautiful painted picture that he had, or a painted bat, the picture that he had of this bat that has the Phanatic painted all over it.
Wow.
And then, of course, everybody knows, that first game he shows up in the Phanatic shoes, and he's got the Phanatic socks. He's got the Phanatic headband, and, it's just every year it's something different. And it's just been really, really cool. And that picture there, you have the Phanatic kind of return the favor and made shoes for himself that were just like Bryce's Phanatic shoes. And we did that at the Phanatic birthday. So we made it seem like Bryce was giving the Phanatic, his own, type of Phanatic shoe there.
Hey, I know the Phanatic loves music. He's been on stage with the likes of Billy Joel and Jimmy Buffett, but I remember last year you telling Greg Murphy that Bruce Springsteen might not be a fan, or at least on this one occasion. What happened?
Yeah, that is true. And you're right. The Phanatic has rubbed elbows with a lot of rock stars. And the Phanatic is a big fan of Bruce. And one game he was doing a one night only at the Philadelphia Spectrum. And the Phillies were playing across the street. And the Phanatic thought, hey, let me, right after the Phanatic was done that fifth inning routine where he dances on the field, drove right off the field at the vet, up the ramp, and across the street to the Spectrum, where the guards were happy to see the Phanatic. The Phanatic was brought, right into the Spectrum, and within 2 minutes, the Phanatic is front row. He's got his hands on the stage and he's pumping his arm. It's a Bruce Springsteen concert, but the song was Murder Incorporated at the time, and it was a really heavy. I think if it was Glory Days or Dancing in the Dark, I think Bruce would have pulled the Phanatic right up. But Bruce wasn't real happy. I think the Phanatic was there, and security had to come and escort the Phanatic out of the Spectrum.
Oh, well. Hey, there are a couple of things on the August schedule this month, Tom. I'm sure the Phanatic will be a big part of it. We have Alumni Weekend at the ballpark, August 11th through the 13th, and then a Phillies Nationals ball game up at Williamsport's Muncie Bank Ballpark at historic Bowman Field on the 20th. Both of those things should be a whole lot of fun. You going to be there?
Going to be awesome. Phanatic will be there in Williamsport. He was just there actually a few weeks ago doing a cross-cutters game, but he's happy to go back to Williamsport. It's, Cooperstown, I think, is heaven on earth when it comes to if you're a baseball fan. I tell you, Williamsport's got a special charm to it, too. So he'll be there. And then you mentioned Alumni Weekend. It's going to be awesome. Toyota Alumni Weekend. Wall of Fame is on Saturday. And then we have, of course, the Sunday, August 13th, we're honoring both the 1983 team and the 1993 team,
yep.
Which is going to be great. And if I could get a little plug in, Chet, and I know you know the Darren Dalton Foundation well.
Sure.
You've been a great supporter of the Darren Dalton Foundation. It's also Darren Dalton Foundation night. We've combined with the Tug McGraw Foundation for that day on August 13th. And those tickets sell out real quick. We're going to have a sellout that day, but we still have tickets available through the Darren Dalton Foundation. So all you need to do is go to phillies.com/Darren Dalton Foundation, and you can order tickets right there on the website. And for every ticket sold, $6 goes to the foundation. So It's a great way to buy tickets if you're looking for that game on Sunday.
I will be there. Hey, in our final 2 minutes, let me ask you, who is the second best sports mascot?
Second best. Well, you know what? The Phanatic was just out in Cleveland doing Slider's birthday party last week. And I got to tell you, Slider is hilarious. The Phanatic is a big fan of Slider. He's been around for a long time. The guy who helped bring the Phanatic to Philadelphia, Denny Lehman, was the longtime president in Cleveland. He went from Philadelphia to Cleveland, and he kind of modeled Slider's program after the Phanatic's program. So Phanatic's a big fan of Slider.
Nice. Man, I wish we had more time. We'll have to do this again next year, Tom. Give my regards to your best friend, the Phillie Phanatic, Tom Burgoyne. Thank you.
You got it, Chet. Thanks for having me.